So I'm showing you this desk as a mess because I want you to see what it looks like when it actually has stuff on it and I'm actually getting ready to work. I work from home. I'm also in grad school, so I am on this desk all the time. I may not have owned it for a whole year, but I have used it plenty of times, so I think I'm qualified to give some feedback. It does not go low enough for me, unfortunately. I am 5'4". This is the lowest that it can go. And it did say that online, to be fair, like they did mention it online. But yeah, it's off by like an inch. If I was 5'5", this would be perfect. But like, look what happens when I'm like this. It's not super obvious, but there is an angle at my wrist. The only way I can fix that is if I lift up my shoulder, which if you could see my neck, you would realize that it's like scrunched right now to make it a straight line. So the way I've been fixing that is by resting my arm on the desk like this. So it goes plenty high for me to stand, but not quite low enough for me to be, I quote, ergonomic when I'm sitting. Plus, I also lose a lot of space that I could have otherwise used because I have to be using all this for my arms. I have 2 monitors. I could have put a third, but I chose to sacrifice that so I could have my desktop up here because for whatever reason, this dock here, it will connect everything except the HDMI cable that connects to the monitor. So having it up here, I can pull the HDMI cable out of the dock and I can plug it into the back a lot easier than if it had it down there. So you could absolutely do 3 monitors. You just can't have anything else up here. So I was able to fit everything that I actually need. This is the smallest size desk they had, and I did look at the measurements, so I knew it was going to be small. That wasn't like a surprise, so I'm not going to complain about that because this is the smallest that I could deal with. You could argue with me and say that 4 legs is better than 2. For this particular desk of this size, I think 2 is perfect. Also, I love the fact that I can easily clean around it, and it gives me more space to work with. As far as putting it together, so people were complaining that these holes here and some holes in the back, they had to drill those holes themselves. I did not have to do that. Mine were pre-drilled, so I just screwed in the screws where the holes were. These holes, on the other hand, were really tricky because they are so deep, but the screws are so short. It was really hard for me to see what I was doing here. Putting the legs together, fine. No problem. This motor, on the other hand, was a pain in the neck. So this is connected to a long bar that goes across. This is a cover that you put on afterwards. It goes all the way across. You can see a little bit here. See how this is not perfectly round? So that means it has to be fed in at just the right angle to fit. But what really aggravated me about this is you cannot push the entire bar into one side or else you don't have enough of it for the other side. So this isn't fully pushed into either end. It's like right in the middle. So I had to fiddle around with that a lot, and that really pissed me off. Excuse my language. I love the hook here for my headset because I do need that. There's also a hook on this side. So those, as small of a thing as that is one of my favorite things about this desk. I absolutely love it. I also like that you can disconnect the power cord here. So if you need to move the desk, you're not like dragging this around. So here's the motor plugged in. It does slightly cover one of my other outlets, so I do lose that, but I rarely work with all of these full. Like, I just happen to have them all plugged in right now, but still, 4 is still a lot. And even then, I still have 1 extra in the wall. So I haven't had any technical issues with it. If it went down just a little bit further, this would be perfect for me. It's $160 when I bought it from Amazon, FlexiSpot. My boss recommended it, and I went with it. Yeah, I don't really have any complaints other than it just doesn't go down far enough and it was a little tricky to put together. But there's tons of YouTube videos to help you with building this thing. I don't regret buying it. I'm pretty confident I'm not going to find another desk that goes down any further than this. So I'm just going to keep this one. And the idea of taking this apart and packing it up to send it back, I'm not going to do it. Like $160, no. After all the work I put into putting this together, I'm not going to bother with that. So I hope this helps you make a decision as to whether or not you want to get this desk. Like I said, I love everything except that it doesn't go down far enough for me. But unless you're 5'4" or shorter, that should not be a problem for you. So good luck with your desk hunting.